name is Novita A.P.A. This video is made to fulfill my final project of the ELT curriculum subject with Ma'am Dwirianti as lecturer. In this video, I will explain what I have learned in this ELT curriculum subject. I will start with the first topic, which is about what is curriculum. Curriculum forms students into cultural umpires for the next generation. There are two different points of view of curriculum. The first one is traditional point of view of curriculum, which is on this point of view, curriculum is defined as a body of subjects or subject matter prepared by the teachers for the students to learn. And the second is progressive point of view of curriculum, which is on this point of view, curriculum is defined as the total learning experience of the individual. There are three models of curriculum development. The first is the principle of curriculum and instruction, which is developed by Rob Tyler. Rob Tyler develops four basic principles in curriculum, such as purposes of the school, educational experiences related to the purposes, organization of the experiences, and evaluation of the experiences. The second model is curriculum development theory and practice, which is developed by Hilda Taba. Hilda Taba develops the sequential and logical process such as diagnosis of needs, formulation of objectives, selection of content, organization of content, selection of learning experiences, organization of learning experiences, and determination of what to evaluate and ways and means of doing it. And the last model is standard-based curriculum development, which is developed by Alan Gladhorn. Alan Gladhorn developed three pairs of standard-based curriculum development model, such as develop standards, such as the first, develop standards by developing a comprehensive set of content standards using multiple sentences, relying the comprehensive list by elimination and combining, secure teaching input to identify teacher priorities, and use data to develop final draft standards divided into essential standards and enrichment standards. The second is develop benchmark by review decision about content emphasis, identify standards for continuing development, decides how benchmark will be identified by task force or by teachers, and develop initial draft of benchmark, evaluating with criteria provided, secure teacher review, and revise benchmark if needed. The third is develop final products by use standards and benchmark to produce the scope and sequence charts, decide on curriculum guide content, and analyze benchmark into learning objectives. There are 7 types of curriculum operating in schools. They are recommended curriculum, written curriculum, taught curriculum, supported curriculum, assessed curriculum, learner curriculum, and hidden curriculum. The characterization of curriculum such as curriculum as subject matter, curriculum as experience, curriculum as intention, curriculum as cultural reproduction, and curriculum as career. The second topic is process of curriculum design. According to Siundu and Omolando 1992, curriculum design refers to how the components of the curriculum have been arranged in order to facilitate learning. There are 5 designs of curriculum. Each of them has its own characteristics and goals. They are: first, subject matter or discipline, which is this curriculum designed based on a scientific structure, mechanical work patterns, and pay attention to the content and learning process. The second is specific competence or technology, which is this curriculum designed based on a certain competence, work pattern systematic, and pay attention to the performance and learning process. The third is human traits or process, which is this curriculum design focuses on personality traits, individual experiences, and self-development. The fourth is social function, which is this curriculum design rooted in society or community problems. And the last one is individual needs and interests. This curriculum design based on individual needs, flexible and helpful individual students. There are 6 steps to follow for designing a curriculum. Those steps are: Step 1 is principle and purpose by set out the intent of your curriculum. Step 2 is entitlement and enrichment by develop pupil entitlement. Step 3 is breadth and balance by curate the content of curriculum. Step 4 is teaching narrative by plan the deliver of curriculum. Step 5 is resources by source high quality resources to deliver curriculum. Step 6 is review and evaluate by decide what works well and where there is a room for improvement. There are 5 assumptions that underlie the design of curriculum, such as educational goals, source destination, characteristic of learners, the nature of the learning process, and type of community served. There are 3 curriculum design patterns, such as first, subject-centered curriculum design, which this curriculum design revolves around a particular subject matter or discipline and describes what needs to be studied and how it should be studied. Second, learner-centered curriculum design, which this curriculum design takes each individual's needs, interests, and goals into consideration. Instructional plans of this curriculum design giving students the opportunity to choose assignment, learning experiences, or activities. Third, problem-centered curriculum design. This curriculum design focuses on teaching students how to look at a problem and come out with a solution of the problem. The third topic is types of language syllabus. There are 10 types of language syllabus. They are: first, grammatical or structural syllabus, which is a scientific syllabus and its contents are product-oriented. The syllabus input of this type is selected and graded according to grammatical notions of simplicity and complexity. This type of syllabus has been used as the basis for planning general courses. The second type is lexical syllabus, which is based in vocabulary and lexical units. This type of syllabus identifies a target vocabulary to be taught normally arranged according to the ability level of students. The third type is functional syllabus, which is organized around a list of language communicative functions such as requesting, complaining, suggesting, and agreeing. The fourth type is situational syllabus, which is organized around the language needed for the different situation. A situational syllabus identifies the situation in which the learners will use the language and the typical communicative acts and language used in that setting. The fifth type is topical or content-based syllabus, which is the one that is organized around themes, topics, or other units of content. Content such as grammar, functions, or situation is the starting point in this type of syllabus design. The sixth type is competency-based syllabus, which is based on a specification of the competencies learner is expected to master in relation to specific situation and activities. The seventh type is skill syllabus, which is organized around the different underlying abilities that are involved in using a language for purposes such as reading, writing, listening, or speaking. The eighth type is test-based syllabus, which is the one that based on the tests that have been specially designed to facilitate second language learning and one in which tests or activities are basic units of syllabus design. The ninth type is text-based syllabus, which is built around text and samples of extended discourse. And the last type is integrated syllabus, which involves decision about a suitable framework for a course that reflects different priorities in teaching rather than absolute choices. The fourth topic is developing course syllabus by course planning and syllabus design. First, developing a course rationale by questioning who is this course for, what is the course about, and what kind of teaching and learning will take place in the course. In order to plan a language course, it is necessary to know the level at which the program will start and the level Learners may be expected to reach at the end of the course. Decisions about course content reflect the learner's assumption about the nature of language, language use, and language learning, what the most essential elements or units of language are, and how this can be organized as an efficient basis for second language. The step of planning the course structure is by selecting a syllabus framework. There are 4 types of syllabus framework. They are: first, situational, which organize around different situations and the oral skills needed in those situations. Second is topical, which organize around different topics and how to talk about them in English. Third is functional, which organize around the function most commonly needed in speaking. And the last is test-based, which organized around different tests and activities that the learners would carry out in English. The factors that influence the planner in choosing a particular syllabus framework, such as first, knowledge and belief about the subject area, which is a syllabus reflects ideas and beliefs about the nature of speaking, reading, writing, or listening. Second is research and theory, which research on language use and learning as well as applied linguistics theory sometimes lead to proposal in favor of particular syllabus types. Third is common practice, which the language teaching profession has built up the considerable practical experience in developing language programs, and this often serves as the basis for different syllabus types. And the last one is trends, which approach to syllabus design come and go and reflect national or international trends. The developing instructional blocks are to make the course more teachable and learnable, to provide a progression in level of difficulty, and to create overall coherence and structure for the course. The last topic is Curriculum 1960A-1975, Oral Approach and Audiolingual Approach. First, the Curriculum 1960A. The 1960A curriculum is a correlated subject curriculum, meaning that the subject matter at the primary level has a correlation with the secondary school curriculum. The legal basis of the 1960A curriculum is TAP MPRS 26 MPRS 1966 concerning religion, education, and culture. The 1968 curriculum aims that education is emphasized on efforts to form actual Pancasila humans, vital, physical healthy, heightened intelligence, physical skills, morals, character, and religious beliefs. The curriculum 1968 has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of curriculum 1968. First, this education curriculum is prepared as a national education guideline, but in its application in the religions, there is freedom given, but still with due regrets to the situation, condition, and school concern. The 1968 education curriculum is autonomous, where all curriculum components can be arranged as well as possible by the school. This curriculum learning system gives special authority to each teacher, provided that the curriculum objectives themselves can be carried out properly. With this curriculum, students have a great opportunity to continue their education to a higher level. The disadvantages of curriculum 1968 are: first, lack of practical skills learning. Even though there are already subjects, the curriculum adopts lessons that are theoretical, while there are no lessons that focus on problems in the environment, so students cannot see the real condition in the field. And the last one is contains political elements. Therefore, this curriculum is not rooted in the needs of individual students. Second, about curriculum 1975. The 1975 curriculum is a new basis for curriculum development policy in Indonesia. The 1975 curriculum is the first curriculum in Indonesia to be developed based on modern curriculum theories, models, and design. In the 1968 curriculum, things that are factors of government policy that develop in the framework of national development have not been taken into account. So a review of the 1968 curriculum is needed to suit the demands of a developing society. Based on these considerations, the 1975 curriculum was developed as an effort to realize the development strategies under the New Order government with the A.P.A and A.P.A programs. Of course, the 1975 curriculum has advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of curriculum 1975, such as has a goal orientation, leads to the formation of student behavior in accordance with the needs of society using a psychological approach, emphasize effectiveness and efficiency, emphasize flexibility, namely considering ecosystem factors and the ability to provide facilities that support the implementation of the program and has sustainable principle. And the disadvantages of curriculum 1975, such as there is a mismatch between the curriculum materials of various subject areas and the abilities of students. There is a gap between the curriculum programs and its implementations in schools. The curriculum content is too dense. There's a lack of development of regional potential because the curriculum aims to be centralized. The curriculum is oriented towards the teacher who is center of learning, and the last one, students' creativity is difficult to develop because the teacher is the subject. The next is oral approach. The oral approach or situational language teaching is based on a structural view of language, speech, structures, and a focus on a set of basic vocabulary items are seen as the basis of language teaching. The main characteristics of the approach were as follows. Language teaching begins with the spoken language. Material is taught orally before it is present in written form. The target language is the language of the classroom. New language points are introduced and practiced situationally. Vocabulary selection procedures are followed to ensure that an essential general surface vocabulary is covered. In terms of grammar are graded following the principle that simple forms should be taught before the complex one. And reading and writing are introduced once a sufficient lexical and grammatical basis is established. The goals of oral approach are to comment over 4 skills of language, such as reading, writing, listening, and speaking. To achieve skill through structures, to emphasize the accuracy of grammar and pronunciation, and to introduce speech in the first place followed by reading and writing. And the next one is audiolingual. The audiolingual teaching method is defined as a method that emphasizes of repetition of words to help students to be able to use the target language communicatively. The main characteristics of audiolingual approach were as follows. Drills are used to teach structural patterns. Set phrases are memorized with a focus on intonations. Grammatical explanations are kept to a minimum. Vocabulary is taught in context. Audiovisual aids are used. Focusing is on pronunciation. Correct responses are positively reinforced immediately. And new material is present in dialogue form. The goals of audiolingual approach such as to enable students to respond quickly and accurately in spoken language and to develop student abilities as well as what native speakers have and to use it automatically without stopping to think. The explanation of curriculum 1975, 1984, and 1994. First, the curriculum 1975. The 1975 curriculum is a new basis for curriculum development policy in Indonesia. The 1975 curriculum is the first curriculum in Indonesia to be developed based on modern curriculum theories, models, and design. The 1975 curriculum was developed as an effort to realize the development strategy under the New Order government with the A.P.A and the A.P.A program. In the 1975 curriculum, the teaching and learning process was developed by devising a new strategy to replace the 1960 68 curriculum. Each subject was created and organized into small units to achieve institutional and instructional goals. The procedure pengembangan sistem instructional teaching and learning strategies was introduced in the 1975 curriculum. Second, curriculum 1984. The 1984 is the curriculum that developed as a reaction or correction to the errors and problems found in the implementations of curriculum 1975. There were four aspects that were perfected in the 1984 curriculum, which are the implementation of Pendidikan Sejarah Perjuangan Bangsa, the adjustment of curriculum program objectives and structure, the selection of basic abilities and cohesiveness, also similarities between cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, and the last one, the implementation of lessons is based on learning constraints that readjust of the learning speed of each students. And the last is curriculum 1994. Curriculum development in 1994 was an attempt to improve and modify curriculum in 1984 by the National Education System and its implementing regulation. Improvements and change of the curriculum as well as an effort to simply and optimize the curriculum content. In improvements and change to the curriculum, set up a team consisting of the steering committee and working group on curriculum development. The curriculum has to be developed to take dynamically into account interest and the uniqueness of the area and the development of science and technology. Among those curricula, the best one is curriculum 1974 because it is a form of development from previous curricula. But during the curriculum 1994 implementation offers some problems, mainly as a result of the tendency to approach content-oriented, which students thought is too heavy because the number of subjects and substance of each of the subjects is too much. The comparison between oral approach and audiolingual approach. The oral approach or situational language teaching is based on a structural view of language, while the audiolingual approach emphasizes on repetition of words to help the student to be able to use the target language communicatively. The similarities of oral approach and audiolingual approach are they both aim the target language is the communicative language of the classroom, as well as vocabulary development in classroom. The differences of oral approach and audiolingual. The differences of both approaches can be seen from their characteristics and their goals. The main characteristic of oral approach were as follows. Language teaching begins with the spoken language. Material is taught orally before it is present in writing form. The target language is the language of the classroom. New language points are introduced and practiced situationally. Vocabulary selection procedures are followed to ensure that an essential general surface vocabulary is covered. In terms of grammar are graded following the principle that simple forms should be taught before the complex one. And reading and writing are introduced once a sufficient lexical and grammatical basis is established. The main characteristic of audiolingual approach were as follows. Drills are used to teach structural patterns. Set phrases are memorized with a focus on intonations. Grammatical explanation are kept to a minimum. Vocabulary is taught in context. Audiovisual aids are used. Focusing is on pronunciation. Correct responses are positively reinforced immediately. And new material is present in dialogue form. Each of them has different goals. For oral approach are the goals of oral approach are to comment over 4 skills of language such as reading, writing, listening, and speaking. To achieve skill through structures, to emphasize the accuracy of grammar and pronunciation, and to introduce speech in the first place followed by reading and writing. For audiolingual approach are to enable students to respond quickly and accurately in spoken language and to develop student abilities as well as what native speakers have, and to use it automatically without stopping to think. The actual use of oral approach and audiolingual approach. The oral approach is useful in actual practice, like demonstration and when the teacher did the explanation of materials in the classroom, while audiolingual is useful in emphasizing on repetition of words when breaking down troublesome sentences into smaller parts of language teaching and help enrich the vocabularies of learners. That's all for my explanations. I hope my explanation can be easily understood. Thank you.